Official pod is presented by WynnBET. Betting is a team sport. Bet together at WynnBET. Eric Allen here at One Jets Drive with one of the busiest men in the National Football League. That's Assistant GM Rex Hogan. Thanks for being here as always. What's it been like the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think everybody's been busy. It's chaos, but it's a controlled chaos. It's fun, man. It's, the scouts come back in and we have meetings with the coaches and leads up to the draft and then the draft itself. And then the fury of post-draft getting undrafted free agents signed. And in addition to balancing some of the free agents who we've recently have signed as well.
But you've been doing this for a couple of decades. Can you take me through Monday where you guys, actually we're going to tape a podcast on Monday and you told me you're a little bit busy, and then a couple minutes later we see Adam Schefter reporting a deal between the Jets and the Packers.
Exactly.
And then it's officially announced on Tuesday, press conference on Wednesday, and oh, by the way, you have a draft on Thursday.
Yeah, no, just all mix it all together and let's roll. So we just adapt, man. Our college scouts, our pro scouts, our player personnel department does an unbelievable job of being able to balance everything and adjusting to whatever hat needs to be worn, and how we take each piece of the puzzle leading up to the draft and then go straight to the draft.
You guys have been working on Rodgers for a long time. And when it was finalized, what's the reaction in the room amongst you and Joe and Nej and Chad Alexander and company?
Yeah. Well, Joe had to step out of a meeting to finalize some calls with it, and we were still in there waiting. And so I was able to step out and see him, and just had this huge smile on his face, and it was just like this sense of relief, like we got it done.
Right.
And so then just brought him in, man. Everybody was clapping, cheering, hugs and high fives, and the excitement of that room was pretty cool, man. It was a special moment to see that after the work that Joe had put into it in terms of negotiations with the Packers. So it was a cool moment. It was really good to be a part of it.
Can you take us inside January where, hey, listen, everybody from a leadership perspective, starting with Woody Johnson, said, hey, quarterback's been the missing piece for us. And Robert and Joe articulated that, listen, we're going to be on the hunt for a veteran quarterback. So can you take me through the stages here, going back to January?
I mean, obviously we couldn't have done it without the support of Woody and Christopher, right, to get the okay, because it's a huge undertaking to take that step. And they were awesome, incredible. I mean, I don't think adjectives describe how we feel about what they've done and given us the opportunity to do. But setting that up first, and then talking to the coaching staff, and then hiring Nathaniel Hackett and Todd Downing, Zach Azzani, adding to our offensive coaches staffs, and what their philosophy is going to be, and how that would marry up with the available quarterbacks and free agents. And obviously it worked out, but it was cool just to go through that process and to hear their individual perspectives and experiences with Aaron or other free agent QBs and vet QBs. So it was a meticulous process and discussions, and then Joe spearheaded the negotiation aspect with the Packers, and finally came to fruition like a lengthy time later.
Obviously, you guys had to get permission from the Packers to go out and talk to Rodgers because he's under contract at that time in March. But when he goes on Pat McAfee and declares his intentions that I'm going to play in the National Football League next year and I want to play for the Jets.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, you heard it here in the building. There were probably 5 of us packed in my office, and it was like jubilation. We're like, yes, all right, finally we hear those words and get to enjoy that moment. And then little did we know it'd be 5 to 6 weeks later before that all finalized, but definitely worth the wait.
Can you talk about your experiences in the league? You were with the Chicago Bears for more than a decade. What was it like competing against that guy?
Yeah, I was asked that question at a press conference. I think I answered with, we got our hearts ripped out so many times by him because what he does on the field, and how at any moment that he can throw a dart that's going to strike, and it could be 6 points, and the guy just the way he sees the field, the presence that he has, the arm talent, the consistency, how he's done it over 18 years. It's great to be on this side of it now and see him hopefully rip some hearts out of some other opponents.
What would your report be if you had to write something up on Aaron Rodgers as far as those first couple graphs?
Yeah, we were talking about it. Arguably the most natural passer in the history of the game, or one of the most natural passers in the history of the game. I mean, he can change arm slots. He can throw from different levels, execution from the pocket, outside the pocket. If it's quick game, if he has like drops, if he needs to read the field, he can do it all, man, and still do it at a high level, even at this point of his career.
Speaking of McAfee, Peyton Manning was just on McAfee this week, and he said, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have success with the Jets, and he pointed to the familiarity with the system. How big is that? Because Aaron made it clear that he wanted to be here, but he's also come to a spot that has an offensive coordinator that he experienced a ton of success with, and he knows this system inside and out. Because we think of Manning, yeah, they gave him the keys in Denver, but he had emerged some things there. And then Brady under Arians, that's a completely, totally new system as opposed to what he was doing in New England.
Yeah, that was huge for us because of the relationship with Hackett and the time that they've spent together in Green Bay. The way Hackett understands Aaron, the way Aaron understands Hackett, and what each one of them want and how they're on the same page. And we've already been able to see it and witness it here the last couple of days that they've been on the field together, and with the offense, and just how Aaron understands it, how Hackett understands it, how Aaron's able to communicate the smallest details to each one of the guys, and how he interacts with the guys on offense, and then when he'll see some guys on defense, give them some subtle tips and reminders of how to play whatever coverage or whatever it may be. But it's really cool to be able to step out to practice and see that interaction, and that just his extreme ownership of the position in the offense.
What's he like as a guy? And obviously you're not his teammate, but you're watching the way he communicates with those guys. One thing that struck me on draft weekend was Robert was saying, this is an extraordinary person. You can tell that he cares about the people around him.
Yeah, just standing off to the side or, upstairs watching, you can see a unique ability to connect and relate to everybody, whether it's Vito snapping the ball to him and then he flips around and is acting like he's rushing him as a defensive lineman. The subtle communication that he'll have with the receivers or tight end or offensive line, and he'll slide over and somebody else will be standing over on the side and talking, and next thing you know, he's talking to Thomas Morstead, and probably, I don't know what they were talking about, but I'm sure it's about, yeah, how many years you've been in the league? With Thomas's, experience with Drew Brees.
Right.
So I'm sure they touched on that, but no, it's really, I can't, again, loss of words to describe how cool it is to be able to witness.
You know what I've thought of a lot lately was you guys hired Robert Saleh in January 2021. That first training camp, joint practices with the Packers. Of course, Rodgers on the other side at that moment. But can you talk about the transformation of the roster? It's got to be like plus 95% since then.
Yeah, I was just talking to Seth about it. I don't know the exact numbers, but they're significant. I mean, with the number of draft picks that we've had over the last couple classes alone, and how that has changed, and with the undrafted free agents that we added, in addition to the pro free agents that we've added, there's a ton of turnover. It's just kind of the way this day and age is right now in the league, with the free agents and the 1-year deals, and so guys are moving around more frequently than ever before. But yeah, the turnover's been huge, and we went from being, last year had a significantly young team, and that 2021 team as we made the transition from 2020. And then this year, I think we've transitioned into more balanced in terms of the younger guys who are now in either year 2 or year 3, and also infusing them with the free agents that we've added and the vet experience and leadership that we've added on both sides of the ball.
Well, 95% is probably a stretch, but it's a ton.
Mm-hmm.
When you hire a new coach, a new coaching staff, it's going to take time.
Yeah.
And you guys also embrace the youth process. Were you thinking all along year 3? I mean, obviously you want to win every game.
Sure.
And you come out that first year and you play young guys all over the place. You won 4 games. Then last year you see you guys take the next step, almost doubled your win total. You were positioned to make the playoffs. You probably make the postseason had not a number of injuries occurred down the stretch. But with that being said, you know, and you've been doing it for a long time. You've been part of rebuilds.
Yeah.
You're thinking,
Yeah.
you knew it was going to take some time.
Exactly, but you never want to say the mantra of wait till next year.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to win now. That's the expectations for us. That's the expectations for the organization. That's expectations for the fan base. And we do want to win now. We always want to win now, and we're going to focus on that. But we have to adapt. And you know, when there's turnover in the coaching staff, whether or not it's head coach or coordinator, there's always going to be attrition because there's going to be a change of philosophy, offensively, defensively. Whether or not if you switch a coordinator, there's going to be some changes that occur. So we have to adjust with that, and then we have to build and add according to those changes that we need to make. And I think we've done a really good job of that and how we've composed a roster and how we're going to continue to try and build. And we're always looking to add and always looking to upgrade the talent.
Jets fans, we're in our final push and the clock is ticking. WynnBET is giving you a golden opportunity to win VIP prizes for the 2023 season. The WynnBET Green Room is the most exclusive space at the stadium with all-inclusive food and beverage, lower-level seats, and appearances by Jets legends and celebrities. New Jersey customers, all you need to do is wager at least $100 on WynnBET Sportsbook or Casino. For New York customers, all you need to do is wager at least $100 on WynnBET's Sportsbook. The best part? You get an entry for every $100 you wager.
That's why it's so unique, the position you guys are in, because you do have the continuity of the staff as far as Brant Boyer returns special teams coordinator. You see Jeff Albrick lead a defense that made a tremendous leap in 2022. And then offensively, you have a coordinator who comes in with his system, who has succeeded at the highest level with your new quarterback. So this is not, most of the time when you're thinking about teams having new coordinators, this is entirely new. But you guys, it won't be for you guys.
Yeah, the systems are very similar. With what he's come from Green Bay and what he used in Denver. The terminology might be a little bit different, but the concepts are very similar. And then with Todd Downing and Keith Carter coming from Tennessee, they ran a very similar system, very similar style, and we're going to help. That helps and eases the transition for everybody with the new coaching staff, with the players who have been here, and the guys who have been in those systems before as a player or coach coming in. And it helps because it hopefully speeds up the process because of the communication that goes on in the position rooms with the coaches and then on the field with the players and their familiarity.
Can we go back to last January? Obviously, this is a win business, but NFL honors. When you see Sauce Gardner grab Defensive Rookie of the Year honors, Garrett Wilson grab Offensive Rookie of the Year honors, how much pride did you guys take in that? And as an organization, because obviously you guys brought them in here, the scouting staff, and then the coaching staff has to help them develop and go to the next level.
Yeah, it was special, man. It again, it goes to our player personnel department and the job that the college scouts do on the road, the job that everybody else does in-house with their evaluations and the communication to identify and find the guys that fit us, like what we want with the character, the off-field and the on-field performance, the guys that we want. It was special. It's again, it's only happened 3 times since I think they tracked it in 1970. So a lot of it goes back to what we did and how we added. And yeah, not only those 2 guys, but the other guys too. The way Brees was performing before the injury, Jermaine Johnson, and then Max Mitchell and Michael Clemens, and those guys as a group, the performance, how they over-exceeded expectations was awesome. But it goes back to the relationship between player personnel and the coaching staff of, hey, this is our vision of who we want. This is a vision of the type of player we want.
Right. I want to talk to you about some free agents, but since the draft just happened last weekend, thoughts on 15, Will McDonald. A lot of people externally are like, why are you guys getting another edge? But when you listen to Robert talk and Joe talk, you got some insight on where they're thinking. From a scouting view, what do you like most about McDonald?
just on the philosophy of it with
Yep.
it's the O-line and D-line. Those are going to be the engines of our team on both sides of the ball. We're always going to want to, on offense, we're going to want to protect first, and we're going to want to add playmakers. On defensively, we're always going to want to rush, and we're always going to want to cover. So as you know, Joe, being a former offensive lineman, he has no problem adding the offensive lineman, and he knows the value of the defensive lineman in the pass rush. So really, we just trusted the board. We're there at 15 with the flip. And so we just let it come to us, and we had our eye on Will. We identified him as a really natural pass rusher. He's got great size. He's got great athletic ability and length for a player of his size, and a really natural ability to trim the edge and bend the corner as a pass rusher.
Yeah.
We're going to move him outside more consistently as a 9 technique, and use him as a wide 9 and use all of his traits and kind of get it out of his body. When he was inside, a little pinched more as a 4-eye at Iowa State. He didn't always get that opportunity because of the alignment. But we're excited, man. We're excited to add another wave, another guy who's going to play a significant amount of time and add to our rush and what we need. And Aaron Whitecotton loves adding that group and having different waves, as you've seen. So guys are going to be fighting for playing time, which is a good problem to have.
I made the argument that this was tied directly to Rodgers because, yes, you could say it's indirect because he's playing on the defensive side of the ball. But the thing that Joe and Robert talked about is we anticipate we're going to play fourth quarter leads next year. And we want to get to the head of the snake, as Robert always says. And that's the quarterback. This guy got to the quarterback as well as anybody in this draft class. 42 tackles for loss, 34 sacks, Big Ten record. And then can you speak to how he can help you guys close games? We see the 10 forced fumbles as well.
Yeah, obviously we have to get leads and build those going into the fourth quarter. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. But our philosophy is going to be we've got to get after the quarterback. We've got to get off the field in passing situations. We got to get off the field in third down. And Will has shown not only his ability to cause pressure, to hit the quarterback, but to make sacks. And not only that, like you talked about, the 10 forced fumbles, there's an art to that in the timing of it and being able to locate the ball and strip it or force it out and generate the turnovers, because it gives us another opportunity to put the ball back in Aaron in the offense's hands. And that's what we're always going to look to do on defense.
Joe Tippmann, is that unique for a 6'6" guy with that reach to have the kind of feet he does?
Yeah, it is. And I think that's why what led us to taking him were those traits of Joe, because he's typically taller than your normal center would be, or the prototypical center throughout the career of the NFL or time in the NFL. But Joe has a unique ability at his size to bend and change directions, and the way he moves and run and can get in space for what we're going to do in the run game is going to be truly helpful for us. How he moves in pass protection is another thing with that size, and the ability to move his feet and match movement is key. And while being able to do that at 6'6", 315 or 315 plus is a good problem to have.
And you got to be a good player to wear a mullet like he does.
Oh, yeah.
He's a good player coming right from Wisconsin. Potentially you could have a former Packer quarterback taking the ball from Tippmann on opening day. We'll have to see how that competition plays out. Okay.
Yeah.
You stick on the offensive side of the ball. Carter Warren, local kid, Patterson, New Jersey, played predominantly, I guess he played solely left tackle at Pitt. But do you guys project him as a swing on the next level?
That was the value of him, is his ability to pass protect and being on the left side of the ball. But he's got size and the strength and the ability to handle the right side if we need it because of the pass protection value. Again, it was a situation where, hey, we've got to protect and we got to add playmakers, and we knew we wanted to do that. But at that point in the draft of where the board fell and the way offensive tackles were coming off the board, we felt really good about the value of Carter at that point, and took him there in the fourth.
Hey, so after Friday night concludes, do you and Joe and the guys huddle up and say, you know what, doing good so far, we got to get some more picks?
Yeah, that was one of the things, because the phone didn't really ring on day one and day two, and there were no viable options, really, and legit options for us to be able to move back. And so that's why we made the picks that we did when we did. But yeah, we even talked about it jokingly. It was like, were our phones broken? Is there something going on with the new phone system? And so we talked about it that night about, hey, we'd like to get some more picks and to do that. And we again talked about it again Saturday morning before the draft. And we had a plan that if teams were calling, we'd be open, and we were able to get those 2 extra picks and felt great about it.
You guys are crushing value with the running backs in the draft. You get Breece Hall last year in the 2nd round, you move up. In the 5th round this year, Izzy Abanikanda from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Are you
Brooklyn,
shocked?
Brooklyn kid.
Yeah, exactly. Are you shocked when he's on the board in round 5?
We were shocked. Yeah, because we thought he would go in at least on Friday night. He'd be off the board by then. Probably one of the top 100 type players. And so when he's sitting there in day 3, we were like, oh man, he'll be gone before we pick. And then the situation unfolded with the offensive linemen and the tackles, and so we made the move to Carter. But then as we saw him fall down the board, and he's such a good fit for the run game that we want and the offensive scheme that we have in mind, and what he did production wise at Pitt, and with his speed, when he hits the 2nd and 3rd level, the kid's acceleration and top end speed is awesome. So felt just like we got a gift sitting in the 5th.
Can you speak to why he is a perfect fit for this system?
Yeah, because he's in terms of the outside zone, you want guys who have the patience to string it out on an outside zone. Once they see a crease or once they see the hole, can stick their foot in the ground, make one cut, and then accelerate and outrun the defense and outrun the leverage. And that's what he brings.
Robert said after the draft, you got a lot of gas in that running back room. You really do. I mean, he's talking about how Breece Hall is looking very good on his comeback as far as what he's been doing off-season workouts. Michael Carter, you picked up Zonovan Bam Knight last year, undrafted free agent. He performed well for you. You got strength in numbers.
Yeah, we feel good about it, especially after the draft and where that room is looking. And we always want to add guys with speed or unique skill sets like Michael Carter has in terms of Michael's quickness, his change of direction, his all 3 down ability, and his ability to stop, start, contact, balance. So he's a little bit different than the other guys, but I think you always want to have not only fastballs, but you want to have an off-speed pitch too.
What about the other 3 guys to conclude the draft? What jumps out at you about those guys? And can you talk about the freak factor as far as your last draft pick?
Sure. So next with Zaire Barnes was a guy that our scouts identified in terms of the traits that we talk about that fit our defense and fit the mold of what we want in a linebacker. And Steegs went through Western Michigan and talked about this guy and how he'd be a great fit because we want guys with speed, toughness, instincts, and length. And Zaire hit those. And we were able to see him during the fall all-star games. And then he shows, he didn't go to the combine, which was a little shocking for us, but we knew we were going to bring him in on a 30 visit. And we really enjoyed him on the 30 visit. He was a great fit for us, defensively, great fit for us again with the character and the
Did that
talent.
help you that he didn't go to the combine?
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
And the next guy we're going to talk about, Jarek Bernard Converse, didn't go to the combine as well, but tested off the charts. Really high level tester in terms of his speed, explosiveness, and vertical jumps and the change of direction. So when you're looking at those guys later on in the draft, you want to identify like, hey, where's some guys with some high end traits that can offset maybe something they're lacking in either experience or one area of their physical development that they still have some upside in. So Zaire still has that. JBC still has that. And then Zach Kuntz, when getting to him in the 7th round, very unique guy being 6'7" plus 250 pounds plus and test and run and move the way that he did. And obviously with our tight end situation, we're at a great point with what we have in terms of depth and youth and vets. And 7th round, when you see those traits at that size, let's take a shot. So swung the bat on Zach and feel good about what he's going to bring and how unique of an athlete at his size he is.
JBC, I call him a defensive back. Are you guys going to start him out at safety and he's got some nickel ability, or what do you foresee?
Yeah, especially he's been a nickel, he's been an outside corner, he's been a safety during his career at Oklahoma State before he went to LSU, and LSU liked to move their guys around, and that showed the position versatility that we like. We have guys on third down at free safety who we want to roll down and play in that a big nickel role and match up, whether or not it's a tight end or a slot receiver. And their added value of being a previous outside corner who demonstrated the ability to play man coverage like he has was a no-brainer for us at that point of the draft with his versatility.
Can you talk? We're talking about value. Chuck Clark, 7th round pick in 2024. Can you talk about the process of acquiring him?
Yeah, we had heard in communications that he was coming available, and I can't remember the total number of games he started. I don't think he's missed a snap in the last 3 games, so he's been an Iron Man for him.
Right.
And a lot of us had gone through Virginia Tech when he was there and coming out, and Chad's experience with being there at Baltimore and knowing how the guy is wired and what he brings from a leadership, what he brings on the field. He's a great fit for us, man. And tag him up with Jordan Whitehead and Tony Adams and Ashton Davis and Will Parks. It was great for us.
Intangibles off the charts.
Absolutely.
And like you mentioned, the durability. They draft Hamilton last year, signed Marcus Williams for free agency. Yeah. Chuck Clark was never off the field last year.
No, he still had a great role for him, man, and played a lot and was a great teammate. And that's all we had heard. Like, this guy's a consummate teammate. He's got a leadership, and he's a real dude at the end of the day, like on the field and off the field. And that holds weight when you hear that about a guy and what he's going to bring and add for the substance of a locker room and a position room.
You mentioned TA. That's one of the guys you told me to watch out for last year as far as undrafted free agents are concerned. What do you think about him in year 1 and what his future might look like?
Yeah, he just worked his butt off from day one. And he had a mission to come in and take somebody's job, and not only that, but to develop each day. And TA does it the right way, man. He's been here all the time in the off season. The guy's is diligent in his daily approach on the field and off the field, and he's showing when you have talent and an overachieving mindset, how you can break through the glass of whatever your ceiling is or whatever you're projected. And I give just whatever kudos to TA or whatever you want to say, man. that guy, he's earned every bit of it. Love it.
You've worked with a ton of coaches in your tenure in the National Football League. Hackett's unique, isn't he?
Yeah,
he is. And has he been fun for you guys to work with as far as what he likes, his system, his flexibility, and the way he approaches everything?
Yeah, he keeps it light, man. It's great. The banter of movie quotes that go back and forth with him are awesome, and he's got a huge appreciation for it, like we all do. So that keeps it light. But he just got a great ability too. How Aaron connects. He's got a way to connect with guys, connect with the staff, and he's connected with us and player personnel and about what his vision is for players and what fits and what works. So it's great, man. It comes in with a big smile on his face, and he's always got a one-liner or a joke to crack. And players are talking about it too, and how his personality shines through in their meetings with him.
I was talking to him about this the other day, but how valuable it can not only Rodgers be on the field, but some of these recent acquisitions, whether it be Tim Boyle in the quarterback room or Billy Turner up front or Alan Lazard in the receiver room, and now Randall Cobb as well.
Yeah, again, it's that familiarity that they have with the system, the familiarity with Aaron, the way they've done things in Green Bay or Denver with Billy being there in Denver with Hackett. So it's great because they can give them all the tidbits or the terminology difference. So one of the receivers was giving me, like, talking about how Tim Boyle, the first day he was out there, he was like, no. This is what you guys had last year,
right?
Because he's been in both systems, and he was like, "No, this is what it is," and correlated it to him. And they were like, "Oh yeah," and then they go into the position room afterwards, and so Hackett was detailing it, and I guess he looked back, and they were like, "Man, he's spot on."
Yeah,
he knew exactly how Hackett wanted to say it and how the conversion terminology wise what it meant. So it's cool just to give you a little insight on the value of it.
I love that. You came close to getting a ring in Chicago.
Yeah, close.
Lost the title game to Manning, actually. Getting back to Peyton Manning. Have you thought, looking at this roster, I know you guys take it a day at a time, a transaction at a time, what potentially this team could be?
Yeah, you always try and stay in the moment, of like, hey, what's our next step? What do we need to do this day? What do we need to do this next week? And look just farther enough ahead to keep it like logical without changing your expectations. But it's there in the distance. So I think if you focus on what we're doing day to day, week to week, month to month, that will take care of itself throughout the season.
The first thing Joe Douglas said when he was hired as GM, he said, I want to create the best culture in professional sports. When you walk around these offices every day or you go out there on the field, is there that sense that, hey, listen, we got something building here and it could be very special?
Yeah, and guys who came in on free agent visits who didn't sign here would communicate about, man, that place, it's different. It's not the same old Jets, which, you get tired of hearing that. But yeah, it's not, man. You step into this building, you feel the energy and the excitement of what the team has and the relationships that are developing in all levels of the building that translates to the field. And that's when you're around teams that have that and that connection, those relationships, that's when it grows and that's when it builds and that's when you get the product on the field that you want.
All right, this is cool. You got any vacation planned for June post veteran minicamp?
Yeah, I'll just let Christy tell me where we're going for youth sports throughout the summer. So, between my daughter McKenna and her sports and my son Ryan and my daughter Erin, there's some weekends where we just all three will go different directions. So just with the sports. So we've built our summer vacations around youth sports, so to speak. So
well, you're loving that. And also One Jets Drive, we're gonna see the dogs again this year. We don't know.
Yeah, Nash and Knox doing great, man. Yeah. They're wrecking shop, tearing up the yard, tearing up the house. So Christy does a good job of keeping them in line, but they're fun, man. I would love to get the dogs back on there. They're grown, they're huge. There's again, wrecking shop and chasing cars and chasing people in the front yard.
Sounds good. Thanks, brother.
Appreciate it.